haven't actually done a video for collector problems in a long time. It was a wee series that I had sort of started, done a few videos for it, but I think recently, over the last while, I think this topic just sort of hits that note. What's up YouTube? I'm Alpha Prime and welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to talk about the collector problems on downsizing your collection. Over this last probably number of months, I think although I've done a lot of unboxings and stuff out there, but this last while recently, I don't know if it's a widespread thing or whatever, but I see other collectors chatting, and myself included, I find myself sort of falling into the bracket of, do I really need 3 or 4 versions of a character? Optimus Prime, just for example, I think is a perfect example in this case. With the new MPG 17, I believe, coming out of Optimus Prime, I'm not getting it. It's simple. I have a Masterpiece Optimus and I have the Studio Series 86. That's me sorted. That's me sorted for Optimus Primes. I have a Chug one and I have a Masterpiece, and that's grand. I'm good. This new Masterpiece version obviously isn't tune accurate. It's kind of like a mixture. I'm sure someone in the comments can sort of say what it's a mixture of. I believe there's a little bit of IDW, a bit of G1 and stuff in there. If there's others, definitely let me know. I think it sort of harkens back to the MP10, the fact that the wheels are on the outside of his shins and stuff again, unlike the tune accurate sort of MP Prime. But as it says, it just got me thinking, and I believe over the next while I am going to be downsizing the collection. I'm going to be going through it, and if I've got 2 or 3 of the same character, like I just really personally I want maybe like 1 version of each, bar the Dinobots. I'm going to keep my Dinobot collection because I'm a Dinobot fan, but I mean, for everything else, it's like, right, well, I've got this version of, say, Sideswipe, not Optimus Prime. We were on Optimus Prime, sorry. So for me, I have Earthrise Optimus, and I think Siege Optimus, and then you have the Studio Series, the gamer version Optimus. Now for me, I would like a Cybertronian Optimus and I'd like an Earth Optimus. For me, then I'm probably going to sell my Siege Optimus and my Earthrise Optimus, because I've got the 86 Optimus, which will do the Earth mode. I have the Studio Series Gamerverse Optimus, which will be a good Cybertronian mode. So that's the way I'm going to be looking at it from now on. So it's going to be a case of, do I need this version of that character? Obviously I have my IDW stuff as well, so anything like the IDW stuff's just up there, anything that's sort of outside of that. So if I've got, like, I believe that these legacy figures, probably the Age of the Primes and stuff like that, they're going to fill out your sort of more G1 style versions of the characters, which I'm more than happy with. I say I've got another couple of boxes, but the aerial bots, perfect example. Like, I'm gonna get the aerial bots, and that finishes me for Chug aerial bots, because I don't see them really doing much better than what they're doing now with the aerial bots. I know a lot of people have their criticisms and stuff, but I do think that the way they're doing the combiners now is better than the Combiner Wars, for me personally. I know some people like the whole Scramble City sort of style thing with the Combiner Wars stuff, and hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. If you're happy with it, happy days. I'm just talking about my thoughts. So it's more a case of, I'm looking just sort of around the room and I'm like, I like the G1 aesthetic. And and I do like the odd Cybertronian sort of mode. But I'm looking about there, and I've got three different Star Sabers, so I think I'm going to stick to the HasLab one, and then I might sell my Masterpiece one, and I have my G1 as well. So just things like that. And I know a lot of people's going, "Are you crazy selling?" But at the end of the day, it's just taking up more space. And I think with the Age of the Primes and Legacy, for me, they are filling that void better than some of the Masterpiece stuff. I'm pretty much out of Masterpiece as such. It's just getting way too expensive. And with Takara now pretty much resetting, I know they done this guy, but that's IDW. That's different for me. But now that they're doing Optimus again, who's going to say that they're not going to do a Starscream again? They're not going to do a Bumblebee again. They're not going to do, let's face it, they go around and do all those characters again, and I have perfectly good ones sitting on the shelf. So therefore, in that case is what I mean by I'm out of Masterpiece. There's, I know a lot of third parties, they're all doing the Devastators. Ready to discuss that. I've got a Devastator, so I'm not getting any of those Devastators. I know they're probably more cartoon accurate than that guy. But like the money side of it, that guy is awesome. He's bought, he's paid for. These guys now that are coming out, I think it's Fans Toys, MMC, and X Transbots are doing, and they look really good. Don't get me wrong, absolutely look fantastic. But do I need to delve into another MP skilled combiner? No, I don't think so. That's just the short answer. I think it's probably, you could probably argue it's a little bit on the side of like a burnout, where I feel like my collection, I've been saying it for probably the last few videos and stuff, but the collection's getting to the point now where I'm actually really happy with the collection, and I only need to add a few figures here and there. But there's a lot of figures in this collection now that could easily go on to someone that maybe needs them or wants them for their collection, because their collection is missing this one or two characters and stuff like that. I would rather sell them to somebody that wants them in their collection rather than just putting them into storage just to say that I have them. I think I'm sort of past that stage now of, look at all the stuff I've got. I've got loads of stuff. I've got that figure, I've got that figure, but it's lying in a tub somewhere in the attic or whatever. Is there really much point in that? I don't think so. I think I've sort of got to that stage now where it's like, the collection is fantastic, and anything I'm not sort of displaying or not able to display, I think I'm just going to sort of sell on and just enjoy the collection itself, rather than say just having it for the sake of having it. So like I said, it possibly is a little bit to do with like a collector burnout sort of thing. It's not to say I'm not enjoying the figures. I am enjoying the figures, but it has got a stage where I'm like looking at certain things and sort of going, do I need that? Do I need that figure? This other figure here supersedes it. And I know a lot of people like the old Generation stuff. There's a perfect example. Generations and Reveal the Shield and stuff like that. They were great figures back then, but I think now, bar maybe one or two, have now been superseded or replaced by the new Legacy or the Age of the Primes figures. So for me, it's like, right, well, I can sell on that sort of side of the collection. Masterpiece wise, as I say, I'm not really buying anything now. I've sort of got the main characters that I'm happy with. I've got my Autobots, I have my Decepticons because I'm looking over there. And I mean, I got the Soundwave, the Masterpiece Soundwave, and then Fans Toys, I can't remember, can't remember what they called themselves. Perfect Model or something like that there. They done a Soundwave, and yes, more G1 accurate. It wasn't as decoed out and stuff as MP Soundwave, but I think that was like the first point where I went, no, I'm happy with my Masterpiece Soundwave. And I think that was like the turning point for me. So I've still got Masterpiece Soundwave up there. He still looks fantastic next to Megatron. Starscream and Shockwave, Skywarp, Thundercrack. I've got them all up there, and I think that was like the turning point for me. And it's just gradually increased and increased, where I sort of went, right, you know what, I don't need that newer version because I'm happy with this version. And then it's also then made me look at my chug collection, because the chugs so far have been getting so good lately, that I don't need the older stuff. You know, that you're literally you're placing it on the shelf and you're putting it into a tub and then you're putting it away into storage. For me, there's no point in that. It may go to somebody that really, really wanted this, but maybe they collect characters like I collect the Dinobots. Maybe they collect, you know, Wheeljacks, or they collect this, or they collect that. So I've got like sort of Armada stuff, Energon stuff, and stuff, the older RID stuff and whatnot, that I just don't have room for. They were great at the time. I really enjoyed them, but if they're going to get replaced on the shelf, like, they may as well go to someone that maybe wants that for their collection. Maybe that was their G1. I mean, essentially Beast Wars was sort of my G1, but because I grew up with an older cousin, the actual G1, I watched a lot of the G1. I watched the 86 movie over and over and over. So I do have an affiliation with the actual G1, although I was born in the late 80s. So it was sort of nearly all done by the time that I was sort of getting into it, and it was Beast Wars into the 90s. But because I had that older cousin, I have that affiliation with G1. RID was brilliant at the time and stuff, and you know, obviously I've still got a few of the RID stuff that I might keep, but a lot of it I might move on. And it's just going through the whole collection like that. Like I says, in Legacy we got Armada, Optimus, and Hotshot. We're getting Red Alert at some stage, hopefully. Well, not hopefully, I know it's coming at some stage, but I know other countries have them already, so we're getting those there. So like the older figures, I know a lot of people like to hold on to the older figures for nostalgia reasons, and that's perfectly fine for them. But for me, these guys we're getting now in Legacy and Age of the Primes and stuff, you know, they are really good representations for me for Armada. So I probably will be selling on my original Armada toys, you know, from the older days and stuff. Just the newer ones have got better articulation. They're not as chunky. They're actually in scale with each other, and that in my head works better than just having these older versions that were massive, not in scale with each other, all different scales, because they were filling different voids. And back then they didn't care about scale as much. I mean, you would get like a Armada Optimus and he had been, you know, by the on height just in comparison, and you get like a Red Alert that was massive compared to them, and it's like, yeah, it's not the way they were on the screen. So that's my logical sort of thinking. That's the way my brain's working at the minute. So there is going to be a lot of collection stuff. Now, am I going to take the time and sell them all individually? Will I contact maybe a place and say, look, I've got this chunk of collection here, you know, would you be willing to buy it? I know there is options out there, so it's going to come down to that then, what I decide to do. But I definitely think that there is going to be a huge culling of the collection. But I think in the end up, I think it is going to work out really well for me and for the collection. I think there's no point holding on to things just for the sake of holding on to them. I just need to get it down to what I'm happy with and having minimal representations of a character. Now I know I have, you know, like the Chug Optimus 86 Prime, and then I'll have like an IDW version. That's fine because that's comic books and that's G1. But outside of that, I don't really need so much, especially Optimus. There's been so many Optimus. I mean, there's that Gamerverse, the Devastation Optimus, and I'm just like, nope. They released that G1 style Optimus in the Legacy line or whatever. I passed on that too. Like, there's just so many Optimuses. Now, if you're an Optimus collector the same way as I'm like a Grimlock collector, then you, like, happy days, you're getting all these different versions and stuff. But again, I'm not an Optimus collector, so I have, for me at this very moment, I don't think they can top 86. I don't think they can top the Masterpiece Prime. and you know, I've a really good representation of IDW Prime, so therefore I don't need any other versions. To say they're just going to get a lot of stuff moved on, and that's my thoughts. That's just the way I've been thinking for the last while. So that's my collector problem thoughts for today. I hope you found this interesting. Have you been sort of thinking the same? I know in the collector groups there's been a few people that have sort of been hinting towards it. What ways you're thinking on collecting? Have you sort of got to a point now where it's like, I need to really cull down the collection, or are you just happy just getting more and more figures? Everybody's different, everybody has different opinions, and that's what I like about these videos, because then I can get maybe a bit of talking and people giving their thoughts and opinions and stuff, and it's just great to hear different angles, different way of thinking. Like, everybody's not going to agree, but I hope in the comment section that nobody starts arguing about it, whatever, because you have to remember what you think is the right way of doing things, or the way that you like doing things, isn't the way that everybody's going to like doing things. But I do like to hear everybody's thoughts. I mean, someone's going to turn in and say, maybe, I would rather keep the original figures from back in the day rather than getting these newer figures, and that's perfectly fine. If that's the way that you're thinking, then happy days for you. But for me, I quite like the scale stuff, so if they're sort of sitting on a shelf and they look like the way that they should from the show, then I'm going to go with that. And that's it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. And definitely let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on collecting at this point too. And until next time, guys, stay awesome.